So what are your take or opinion? I'm interested in P3s versus SRF, WIFIA, public funding versus private-public partnerships.
The U.S. Water Alliance, we're a national organization. We have members all around the country. And so, it's our belief that if we're going to solve this water infrastructure funding gap, we do really need a full suite of options. And the key is optionality, right, for different communities to use what they need. LA and Orange County, these are larger systems. They are very well-run systems with, good financial capacity to make the investments. But, we have communities all around the country with very small systems. We have 53,000 public drinking water systems, another 18,000 wastewater agencies. Over 50% of them serve less than 500 people. So from having the type of capacity and expertise that LA and Orange County have, the fiscal ability to raise rates, those don't exist. So I think particularly in those smaller areas, we need to think about how do you leverage private capital and funding to help private expertise. And so again, I think it's about having the suite of options available to all communities so that they can make the right choice, whether it's public, whether it's private, whether it's a blend.
And this goes to balancing the funding, the issues that we're dealing with, the funding, the regulations, and technologies that are available to us. Adele?
We're looking at a project on a stormwater project with a sewer mining project in an area in West LA. With a limitation in funding on stormwater, while we're working through a watershed resilient approach for funding and for compliance, the cash flow is not available right now to put the capital investment in. So the idea we are looking at is using a private-public partnership, design, build, finance, operate concept to allow us to have funding come in early, but the payment is done on the amount of water we produce and sell to the water companies or water users. We need to make sure regulations at the state level, whatever, allows us for that flexibility, but it's not the solution to all. There's a place for it, whether you're trying to meet a regulation fast, whether you have a timeline issue, whether you have a new technology coming in. All these things have to be factored in, and our job as utility managers is to do the best for our communities, for the ratepayers. We have that responsibility every day. But I think it's something that we continue looking at. We're going to open our minds to do it, and we're going to have that as part of our tools that we have.
When we look at the technology needed for the future, I think that the nuts and bolts technologies are coming along, but it's how do we implement them? So I think we need to be better planners and more creative designers. The term that we use a lot now is resiliency. So we want our projects to be resilient. We talked about the extremes of, extreme drought followed by extreme wet weather. That's an example where to design our facilities to handle those extremes and be the most resilient, that's not going to be the cheapest design or the lowest cost project. So we have to be creative in finding ways to get multiple benefits out of our efforts rather than just trying to hit a flood control objective or a water supply objective. We have to be able to combine those to get the most value for the public and have everybody at the table for those various interests. And sometimes, I think in the past it was a little bit easier to try to find the lowest cost project to meet your objective. I think we have to look much broader now.
Right, absolutely.
I also wanted to sort of tie these, the conversation around policy and regulation to technology and innovation, because certainly we need to make investments in R&D in the future so we continue to innovate and have the best solutions to deploy. But the reality is we have tremendous technological solutions that already exist, whether it's, the leak detection or, monitoring sensor. It's incredible what we have. I think the challenge is that we need to accelerate the adoption of these technologies, and that ties back to policy, because we need to incentivize and enable our utilities to be able to adopt these technologies. And how do we balance the sort of risk-reward equation?
Right.
At a time when you're on the hook to also 24/7 deliver effective wastewater and drinking water services.
I give the example that sometimes we are upgrading our system while we're like 747 plane flying, and we're trying to do an upgrade while we're still flying. Right. We can't take the system down. Right. We can't stop serving the community. So it's kind of interesting how we need to be innovative. So it's critical. But I want to build on what Jim said is we need to start thinking about these projects that can give more. I'll give you an example of a project we're working with the LA County on. It's a gravel pit in a community that floods all the time in the northeast valley and Sun Valley. That gravel pit was basically a huge problem for the community from a health issue, from a flooding issue. We bought it through a Proposition O from City of LA bond measure. It's being converted with the county and Water and Power into a wetlands park.
Yep.
We're capturing runoff from 1,000 acres, treating it through a wetland system, providing a habitat and a park for the community to enjoy, improving the quality of life, taking that water, improving the water quality for the LA River downstream, capturing that water, putting it in the ground for replenishing our groundwater, recharging the groundwater, and addressing flooding in the community. That is, to me, is the heart of what we're trying to do, is working together, building projects, bringing new technology, sometimes old technology too. You know, wetlands have been around for a long time, so it's bringing old technology and then at the end, providing the most for the community and the best for the community.